Yeah, 2017, and I'm Tracy.
And I'm Nikki. And
And
welcome to our channel,
Soul Tribe.
Soul Tribe.
Mhm.
Why did we come up with this name, Tracy? I
Well,
always say your vibe attracts your tribe, as
yeah,
has been quoted many times.
yeah, and everything's on an energetic level.
Mhm.
So basically, this channel is all about raising your vibration, um, facing your shadows, and coming to terms with who you're meant to be, and all through the field of attraction, law of attraction, which is actually your heart center,
Hmm.
right? Your heart is a vibratory field. So
It's true.
yeah, once you start to cleanse that space and go through all your negative kind of past issues, any karmic kind of stuff that you've had, and clear it out, you start to raise your vibration to attract more of what's right for you. And I think that's what it's about, finding your tribe, right? And that's all the way from partnerships to your career to your friends, every single thing. It's a line that runs through your whole life.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And what I was saying is, it's not an easy process. People, don't think that this happens overnight. It is a journey. So it may start off little by little. You may be experiencing things day by day, and you might wonder, what's happening to me? I don't understand why this is happening to me. But for a lot of people, they become aligned when their lives fall apart, actually. I know it sounds terrible, but it seems to be a common theme among many people who are awakening, that their lives do come to a fork in the road in a certain way, or there's a catalyst or something has happened to them, and it's like the universe has tapped them on their shoulder and said, we're talking to you, and we're asking you to come into alignment, and you'll be happier,
Mm-hmm.
and you'll be a better version of yourself. So oftentimes we put on a mask and we go through life thinking we're a certain person, and then we realize after these events, and for everybody it's a little bit different, but the common theme is there is some sort of cataclysmic event in your life and it makes you come to terms with who you are supposed to be.
Yeah.
And it's not easy, but it happens.
It's a hard journey.
Shift happens.
But the great thing is there's many people out there to help you on your journey, help you to heal, and yoga and meditation, mindfulness. That's becoming such a commonality now, because so many people are going through this healing process.
True.
Because not only do you heal on the inside, as within, so without. So the more empathic people that wake up to the heart-mind balance, the better our world becomes, because we all start to shift into alignment. So yeah. So we're just going to talk a little bit about how this happened to us. Because as Nikki said, there's little things that you'll start to notice. In the beginning, it's once that catastrophic thing happens, the catalyst comes into your life, then you start to realize, your life kind of spins out of control, and you're like, what's going on? That's when you really wake up. But before that, you start to see some things that have come into your life, but they were just bits and pieces, and you don't really realize at that point. It's when this big explosion happens that you get really shaken up. So we're going to kind of talk about how that happened for us.
Yep.
Just so you guys can understand, you're not alone. There's a lot of people going through this right now, and it's tough, but we got each other. So that's the great thing about this. So if you want to go first.
Sure. I would say for me, I probably have been tapped on all my life by the universe, but sometimes we don't realize it's them. I lost both my parents in my 20s, so I started seeing things then, even with my dad passing, and then especially my mom, because my mom was very influential in our family, and she was the one that had converted into a faith that was very, very heavy, very indoctrinating. So I grew up in a belief system that didn't align with, like, I didn't align with it. I always felt lonely in it all my life, even though I try my best to be the best version of that person. I always felt self-judgment, and it was very negative. I always felt judged and never understood why a belief system, I mean, if it's spiritual and it's God, I don't even like using the word God these days, but I always felt like, well, where's the love then? How come I'm not happy? Because I always think it doesn't make sense. Like, if you think of a higher being, you'd think happiness, you'd think joy, all the, the high vibration emotions, but I wasn't feeling the high vibration emotions. I was feeling actually the opposite. A lot of self-loathing, a lot of self-hate, a lot of anger, and I couldn't figure it out, but I was starting to figure it out. It did happen shortly after my mom's death, though, because I felt like that could have been that cataclysmic moment where I started my journey. I moved to California, and that's where I met all kinds of spirit kind of people. And it was hard for me because I was in this really very religious box, still trying to be this person. And all of a sudden, I'm meeting a shaman. They have a spiritual store downstairs where I was working. I'd go visit it every day. We actually really got along. He did a healing on me. And shortly after that, I started buying books on energy medicine and how our emotions really affect the body. So this is going back in the year 2000, actually. It's a long time ago now, but it's actually a very interesting book. So that was actually the beginning of those breadcrumbs like we were talking about, where you start to realize, oh, everything we feel and think really impacts our health, right? So I had lost my parents, so I often wondered, well, what really happened to them? I mean, the doctors told us what happened to them, but like my dad literally died of stress. The doctors did tell us that. His heart attack was sudden, and it was because he was a very worried person, and he kept it inside himself. Very, like, we, who doesn't worry about things, but just to show, like, how much the emotions really affect our bodies.
And I think from, the time that they grew up in, it was, keep it bottled up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Stay strong.
Stay strong.
Move forward and carry on, except it didn't really work.
Yeah. It was all about, blocking it, right?
Yeah.
Instead of releasing it and letting that energy flow like it should freely.
Exactly.
People had to keep it bottled up,
Well, because you had to stay strong.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a thing, the European, every culture is like that. You have to stay strong and not show your feelings. But your feelings eventually do impact, especially if they're bottled up, they impact us, right? With our health. So I would say that's kind of the beginning of it. I started looking into energy medicine. I didn't really quite understand it then, but I was starting to look into it.
Were you still in the faith?
I was still in that religion, yeah. And that faith actually didn't like that kind of...
Yeah, I was just going to say, how did
books. You're not allowed to read books like that. I was already kind of dabbling into occult, like kind of... It always interested me. I always liked learning about occult things, and but we were taught, this is from the devil. It's very bad. We don't want to be dabbling with this kind of thing. We're going to call in like really negative demons in our lives, So then I put it away. I was afraid of it. I became very afraid of something that I eventually run towards.
Yeah.
That's actually given me comfort.
It's actually funny because...
It's really strange, but it's true. That's my experience.
Yeah, when I was younger, I did kind of touch a little bit with astrology and...
I always liked it.
With tarot cards, but it was the same thing. Even though I didn't come from, per se, a religious background, my mom was more about, she read the Bible and all that kind of stuff. So it was like... Stay away from that stuff. It's like the devil's candy.
Demonic.
It's, exactly.
Yeah.
So I also put it away. I would still kind of dabble with astrology and stuff, and I felt the connection with it. But, so there was those little things, but I didn't actually awake until early 2013, and later on I found out that in 2012 there was a new energy that had come in, and that's when there was mass awakenings.
Yep.
But at the time, the 2013, that's when I started off with a dream, and I didn't know that that was precognition. So that's when it happened, and it wasn't till about a year and a half later when it started to play out. And I mean, looking back, I see pieces coming together, you know, but it was when I had that, I had a twin flame connection, the catalyst, right? And that's when I realized, okay, that dream is not a dream anymore. That was precognition, and it laid out very clearly what was going to happen. Yeah. So I think I'm very thankful, and that I did have that, because it really helped me to understand a lot of things, and it question a lot of things. And I think through that questioning, I found out a lot of stuff that I'd never been exposed to. So yeah, if you're having and you know, you'll have dreams. I do believe there is reasons for every dream. It's not always precognition, though. Sometimes it's, you know, connected to an emotion or something you're going through, and it will come through in your subconscious. But then there's some dreams that you'll have that will just be different than the rest. You know?
I have to say, I had that dream in 2012.
Yeah.
And that was the beginning of the end of an era for me. It really, everything shifted. Literally, I know people spoke about the shift in 2012, but I actually lived it. My whole life, as I knew it up until then, completely changed. It was like I walked through a door, and then I walked into a new understanding of things, and I thought, what's happening to me?
There was no going back.
And there was no going back either. You couldn't turn around and go, oh, I changed my mind. You know, you swallowed that blue pill. Like, you've gone through something that you can't go back now. It's like a new understanding, and your mind's expanded. But I too had a twin flame connection, which I didn't realize that's what it was. But that changed a lot of things for me. And I want to say that how it impacted me was, I was always this kind of person, like perfect in every way. Always a rule follower, and always trying to, you know, just be this good person. But all of a sudden, this twin flame connection for me, all of a sudden I'm taking risks I would never do. I was behaving outside of my character. Like, I was behaving differently. It was like I didn't recognize myself, really. But it was good, because it was like it needed to happen. Until then, I really didn't know who I was. I was just following this little, you know, who I thought I was supposed to be.
You were inside the
in
box,
this little tiny box, that this world, this religious world I was in. They were telling me this is who I am, and basically I didn't know who I was, really, until the twin flame connection. And then I got to know a lot of things about myself. So
it really helps you to come back to love for yourself.
Yeah.
And helps you, it starts you on your healing journey. Because that's what it's all about. And I'll bring that up a lot. It's the heart and mind connection, right? So empaths, which are heart people, they're really connected to spirit. They may not realize it until something like this happens, but that's where you get your message, right? Is through that heart center. So when you meet this twin flame connection, you open right up, and you start receiving a lot of message and stuff. And once that happens, you're forced. Like, you act out of character. You're not that same ruly person. And I, like Niki, I was not in a religious background, but I was still stuck in that box. And it's the box that basically the world expects you to live in a certain way. And we're not meant to live like that. We're meant to be individual to each one of us. Because it's like a chain link, right? We're all connected, but we all have to play our own role, right? But that's a whole other topic we'll get into another time, about the manipulation and control, and how people are kind of stuck inside this box, right? But yeah, it opened me up to living my truth and the healing journey. So anyways, yeah, with my dream, it was a very rare dream. It started off, it lasted over 2 nights. And at the time, I didn't know about spirituality per se. I didn't know about chakras or energy vibration, or I didn't even consider it really. So the first night, just right in here, something shattered, and it took me through all my past traumas and flashbacks, one right after the other, very quickly, very rapid. And then it brought me back to the present, and everyone that looked normal before had this kind of zombie look gaze in their eyes. And in the dream, whatever was speaking, I like to say spirit, said that the reason why all the problems are in the world is because people are making choices based out of fear, which is the opposite of love. And that's what this healing journey is about. Basically, when you meet this catalyst, any fear-based decisions you've made, they start to shed away from you. But during that process, you're also facing your fears. So it can be very overwhelming. And that's why when you look at indigenous teachings around the world, healing's a huge part of spirituality, because that's what it's about, awakening to your true self, right? So you have to go through a lot of healing. And then it said, you're going to go on a journey. And when I had woken up, whatever had shattered, I actually had physical remnants where I had to blink my eye out. I felt a little bit almost like paralyzed for a few minutes as I would blink my eyes out to clear it. But, you know, I'm like, okay, that was just a really intense dream. I'd never experienced anything like it, but I just, you know, you get busy and you continue on with your day. The next night I went back to sleep and the dream continued. It said, you're going to go on a journey. You're going to learn about energy. You're going to learn about psychics. It's going to involve mental health. And then it said, you're going to meet more people like you and help in the healing process that's going on in the world. Just don't talk about it too much. I didn't really listen. And it talked about a little bit about energy and how being in a manipulative, low vibration energy it's kind of taking over the planet and creates even more lower vibration, right? So as you start to learn about energy, you realize it's about stepping out of the manipulation and into your heart space. And as you step into the heart space, a lot of issues come up that you need to heal to come into your heart-mind balance. That's why symbols like the yin-yang, the sun and the moon, there's many symbols throughout indigenous teachings that really are all about the heart-mind balance. So, yeah. And then again, you know, even though it was a very different, unique dream, I didn't really question it. You know, it's just a dream. I told another friend about it, and she's like, "Oh, that sounds like a movie or a book I've been reading." And that's as far as it went until it started to turn into that. My life started to turn into exactly what that dream was about. So yeah.
And people, these dreams are not the kind that you forget. I had a strange dream around that time too. Till this day, I remember every part of the dream because I felt very awake in the dream. Most of the time I'll dream, I don't remember a thing, but this one dream, around that time in 2012, was very specific. It was very unusual. I actually went to a dream analyst about it because it had that much impact on me that I knew things were going to change from going forward from that.
Where were you at this point in your life?
This is when I had met my twin flame, and life was about to change, and it did.
So you were
absolutely.
Still in the religion.
I was actually right at the fork in the road. So I had this dream, and basically at the end of it, it was just to basically let me know. I found out through this dream expert that they were my guides in my dream speaking to me. So we'll get into talking about guides, and who comes around us, you know, and who's around us all our lives. We all have them.
Yeah.
We're just unaware that we have guides.
And that's another thing, like as you start to heal, you start to wake up even more. And then you start to get maybe a little bit more psychic ability. Because
you're more sensitive. Your vibration's higher, so you're more sensitive. You'll pick up things that you wouldn't have picked up before.
Exactly.
Like even a flash thought or a feeling or, you know.
You'll start to see things before they happen.
Yeah, and you're like, what is that a deja vu? You're having deja vus or...
Yeah, get message about other people and you'll bring the message and they'll understand what you're talking about. So these types of things will start to happen as your heart center opens up, right? And you start to clear it. Yeah. So that's when I went into my first spiritual store, Odyssey, because I kept seeing a certain group of numbers, for example. I mean, I was trying to figure out my life. I knew things were changing. I had the weird dream. I actually did consult a psychic, maybe two, and then I confirmed a lot, actually, consulting them. And then I went into my first spiritual store, Odyssey. And they have books and everything. So I did go in there and ask why I saw this certain number group every day, all the time. It was one of them was 1111 and then 222. But it was repeated on everywhere I went. I just saw the same number. But I ran into my first person at Odyssey who explained that to me, and they handed me a book on numerology and the meaning of numbers and the vibration of numbers. Actually, every number has a vibration. So. And that's what got me into really actually studying about the esoteric. So got me into studying about essential oils or studying about crystals and everything is energy. And everything's energy. It is. And esoteric is hidden knowledge.
Yep.
And it all connects to holistic living.
And to the divine, ultimately.
Exactly.
Or source. Or
whatever you want to call it.
Whatever you want to call it.
So many different names.
Yeah.
So as you start to wake up, you'll get into more holistic approaches to your life. Just things that are healthier all around for you.
Yeah.
And you just start to see the connection between everything. And it becomes, it's a beautiful, but it can be very overwhelming. So
yeah, it's not easy, but at the same time, it's amazing. So it's kind of, I don't know how to explain it other than it's everything. So
yeah.
I don't know. If you want a nice, safe life, don't wake up.
Yeah.
You want a nice cookie cutter, safe life, and just stay that way then. Stay asleep. We wanted more. We were seekers. I think when you're a natural seeker, I have been all my life as a child, I think. I was always someone that wanted to know truth.
The truth. Me too.
I don't know. I naturally was like that already as a little girl. So I don't know. I think some of us are born that way, where we are way showers or truth seekers. Yeah. And, it finds you. It does find you.
Just so you know, it's inevitable.
It is inevitable.
You know.
Sooner or later, the veil is thinning. It actually is thinning. So, I don't know. I see it everywhere. I see it on television. I see it in media, films, the media. It's all over the place.
Music.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you really start to listen, the manipulation is being uprooted. And manipulation, it's not bad people. They're people that are very wounded. Empathic people are wounded too. Manipulators, what they'll do is they'll project their pain instead of, it's like a bandage effect. Empaths, what they'll do is they'll try and, heal everyone else around them, but they won't deal with their own shit, right?
They become codependent.
Yeah.
That's what empaths are like.
Yeah.
They're always they're selfless, trying to fix people. Because that's how they grew up. They're overly sensitive.
Yeah.
We got to make that more balanced, though.
Yes. So it's just both ends of the spectrum. Polarities. That's what a twin flame is. One's the manipulator half and one's the empathic half. And what they do is the empath, they'll start to come into their heart-mind balance, right? Because they're already in their heart, but they'll start to heal it, right? And in that, they'll come into their mind. And then the more empaths that heal, eventually the manipulators can't suck from you anymore. So then they'll have to break down and go into their heart space and do their healing work. So the empaths are being woken up first. So you know, if you're a brave soul, you can get through this. There's a reason for everything. And the great thing is you become even more sensitive and you start to notice the universal signs speaking to you. And it's those little things that keep you going. And everything's based on law of attraction. So you'll start to very quickly meet more people like you.
Yep.
Because there's many of us out there.
There is. And we're all looking for each other, which is even more, which is funny, but it's true.
Yeah.
I remember from 2012 on, I was excommunicated from a community I've known all my life. And I thought, oh my goodness, I'm going to be all alone. But that's not actually what my dream showed me. And people just showed up. I just all of a sudden had all these people coming into my life that were supposed to be there. And they were people that guided you along the way. Or, you know, if you needed something, it was there. It was like, no, you're supposed to be here and we're going to support you.
Yeah.
In any way possible. Whether it's...
You start to trust in the universe.
You just trust. And I thought, wow, this is really happening. Yeah. I only read about it before. You know, you only read about this stuff. It's always someone else's story.
Yeah.
And then now it became your story, my story.
Yeah.
So it's probably your story.
Yeah.
And we're not alone. I used to always tell my friend, like myself, Nikki, we're not alone. And then all of a sudden people just came into my life. And it's been amazing. For the last 5 years of my life, it's been...
It has.
Not easy, but amazing.
and not, when we say not easy, like I cried for a year straight every single night. So, you know, if you're going through it, just keep releasing and filling yourself with that love, because that's what's going to get you on your true path in life, right? We've all come here for a reason. We all have purpose. And we all have that path, that highest path that we have the ability to get to. And it's going to get you there, this awakening.
A better version of yourself, basically. That's what is ultimately supposed to be, is that we're going to be a better version of ourselves one day.
Yep.
Hopefully. And that's to contribute to, well, raising the vibration all around us.
Yeah.
And hoping that it helps other people as well.
Yeah.
Hey, we all support each other. That's how it works, right?
Exactly.
We can't do this by ourselves. It's best that we do it together.
And even we haven't completed our journey. You
just
know?
Started.
We
just started.
We've been going through it for a few years now, but we've seen progress, and so we're just going to talk about what we've used for healing, what we've kind of done, what's happened to us, and we're also going to, you know, interview professionals in the healing field and people that use esoteric knowledge to create a healthier future, right? So people that are into holistics, biodynamic farming, which is an esoteric way of farming. It's an organic way. People in the neuroscience fields, you know, people that have a good science background on all this, because that's the thing about esoteric knowledge. It's got a science to it.
Yep, there is.
Right?
It's not woo-woo.
It's not woo-woo. It's all law of attraction, energy, vibration. And we're just going to get you to, so you understand how it all works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not bad for a first video.
Yeah. Happy healing.
Happy healing. Happy healing.